Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today, please grab a cup of your favorite beverage and maybe a pack of popcorn. And if you are really only interested in really interesting and intense footage, which is rare to get these days on War Thunder's seas, skip to the 16-minute mark, because then things start to get spicy. And if you look at the map, some of you might actually see what I tried to do, and this is to basically go to the two line, and then break through the islands and break into the enemy's formation of the convoy. And yeah, this ship is in one way or another really good for doing this, and then in other aspects not so much. And even when trying this with a Scharnhorst, I very often failed, didn't have enough time, or then somebody else just, was better at doing this than I. And so this time I can tell you it worked. And oh boy, was that fun. And those are the battles, the 1 in 100 battles that I'm after, where I can show the interesting and fun part of the War Thunder naval scenarios to you. And this is where I'm really excited, and I hope you hear the excitement in my voice. And oh my god, this shot, man. So bad. Anyway, today this is also a first impressions video on the IJN Hiei, and the first couple of minutes are really well in explaining why this ship is so interesting for me. And in the first battles it really didn't hold up to the expectation that I had, but in this battle it kind of redeemed itself. So let's just start with the basics, and I'll give you a simple description and just run down the numbers and try to set them into perspective to see where the ship might struggle a bit, where the ship actually excels, and so forth. So IJN Hiei in War Thunder is now in the Japanese tech tree at rank 5, battle rating 6.7. She is in her 1926 configuration, and she is the 4th, and in this case last, of the 4 Kongo class sisters. She's the successor, no, she's the predecessor of the IJN Kongo, 1 rank and 2 battle rating steps, so battle rating 7.3 later or higher. And her 2 sister ships, the IJN Haruna and the IJN Kirishima, were reward ships. And yeah, they are very similar in a way, and they were built roughly a couple of years apart, but the IJN Kongo, IJN Kirishima and IJN Haruna are in their respective World War II configurations. IJN Hiei is in her 1926 configuration. That has some advantages, like a lower battle rating, 6.7 compared to 7.3. She also has a heavier battery of secondaries, so she has 8 15 centimeters per side, although you have to give full broadside to not only have 6 available. But even that, that's some nice secondary DPM that can threaten AIs, destroyers, and even light cruisers at medium to close range effectively. And they all share the same guns, and those are the 8 36 centimeter -45 Type 41s, 720 rounds of ammunition. However, in this case we have different shell types available to us with different characteristics. And if you think about the IJN Yamashiro, the Fuso class premium battleship in her 1920 configuration, you are not far off, but you are not precise enough, because that has a battle rating of 7.0. And on the IJN Hiei we have an extra AP round to make things spicy. Also, this is a battle cruiser, and she is slower than her sisters because it was basically done before the rebuilding with new machinery, so she goes only 51.3 kilometers per hour instead of, for example, the Kongo in her 1944 configuration with 55.5 kilometers per hour. And that matters literally in the long run of a battle, for instance. And you can see in this battle that it would be good to be even faster, but thankfully enough, it is not to my disadvantage in this battle. If you remember the video on the IJN Yamashiro, I really complained about the effect that I have with the 14-inch guns. Even though I have 12 of them, the ship doesn't really feel all that mighty. Since then, many more ships have found their way into War Thunder, and we had some power creep, and even though some call it a big decompression patch, you know, when you're fighting 8.0s or 7.7s, there is still a difference, and the Hiei, funnily enough, has a lower battle rating, but a better shell. So when it comes to the ammunition, we have the usual ultra heavy SAP, the 356mm ordinary SAP, as an SAP CBC shell type with 69 kilograms of TNT, plus velocity 780 meters per second, and fuse delay of 0.01 seconds. This is important as it should prevent too many overpenetrations after the 26mm of fuse sensitivity, which is the same as on the 2 AP rounds. And the 356mm third year type APC, which is an AP CVC type of ammo, is your first AP round that you get as a tier 1 upgrade with 13.31 kilograms of TNT equivalent bursting charge, 780 meters per second muzzle velocity, and basically a fuse of 0.05. That's the same as on some Russian fantasy ships, which proves to be highly effective, but you're missing a bit of penetration because it's only 361 millimeters. That is the same as on the Yamashiro, but as a tier 2 upgrade you get the 356mm number 5 APC, which is an APCVC round again, 790 meters per second, 397 millimeters of penetration with the same fuse delay and fuse sensitivity, but less than half of the TNT equivalent bursting charge, 6.15 kilograms on a 14-inch armor piercing round. That's less than Italian levels of 12-inch or 320 millimeter rounds, right? This is not good, and you kind of sometimes feel it, but you need the extra penetration of roughly 10%-ish, right? In my opinion. And yeah, so you can switch between the SAP round, which has low penetration values at 5 kilometers, only 236 millimeters, and at 10 kilometers, only 179 millimeters. So sometimes you really have to adjust it when you even fire at some of the better protected heavy cruisers or even light cruisers. The secondaries basically have AG with 3.17 kilograms of TNT equivalent bursting charge, and the SAP, which is the one that I recommend, just shy of 3 kilograms, and at 5 kilometers 71 millimeters of TNT. Now so far that doesn't sound all that great, but you're also missing a lot of the AA. There are only 4 8cm -43rd year type cannons, and you have none of the 25 millimeters, and usually I say AA doesn't matter. This battle somewhat proves me wrong, and I would love to have some 25 millimeters at all. You will see it when we come to the scene. But what you also have is 21-inch type 43 torpedoes from 1910. They're not the best. 50 kilometers per hour top speed, 8 kilometers travel distance, not too shabby, but only 143 kilograms TNT equivalent bursting charge, and this warhead is so light that it is roughly only half what you need to overcome the anti-torpedo defense systems or the torpedo protection of some modern not just heavy cruisers but even light cruisers. However, you have 4 parallel mounted barrels over the entire broadside of the ship, and so you have a couple of reloads for each of them, right? So basically 3 torpedoes per tube, if my calculations are correct. You have to show full broadside. They are not nice to aim, but they also can't be disabled easily because they're underwater fixed tubes. And when you get into those, you know, close quarters engagements, when you come across multiple ships, then they help you destroy some of them. And there are also always some sort of threat. Sometimes it forces people to maneuver. Sometimes bots, you know, they automatically turn when you launch a torpedo at them, which is funny. So you can interrupt them quite a bit. And yeah, so they will also come in handy in this battle, let me spoiler you so far. And this is where it's more about the battle rather than the first impressions. So let's just have a look at the Kongo's AP for reference, because that Type 91 APC has 11.66 kilograms of bursting charge and 449 millimeters. So again, roughly 10% more, and that's then roughly 20-25% more than the Yamashiro, right? And so does the Haruna and the Kirishima have. This SEP round is on paper really powerful, and sometimes it hits extremely hard. But then again, you have to put it into perspective, because you have to hit your opponent first. You have only 8 guns. You have a reload of 30 seconds. The turret rotation speed isn't the fastest one, and the accuracy is also not a world beater. It's okay-ish. It's good enough for a ship with 12 guns, but with 8 guns, sometimes, you know, it could be 1 or 2 hits more in the long run per salvo. That would make a difference. Hitting for specific compartments of an enemy ship is difficult, and so this is where versus light cruisers and heavy cruisers, the secondaries help you, and overall this can help you a bit to offset the disadvantage from the lack of penetration, the lack of accuracy, the lack of effective DPM effectively. And this is where also the battle rating has to be taken into account. You're not at 7.3 or 7.0. That means you get as many down tiers as up tiers, at least in my experience. And when you can shoot with this thing at light cruisers and heavy cruisers, you have a good chance. What's missing though is, what about your armor? Well, and this is a typical Kongo class. Main belt is 8 inches or 203 millimeters, so even heavy cruisers can punch through it. The barbettes are a bit better with 228.6 millimeters, so that's 9 inches, and the turret faces have 10 inches with 254 millimeters. You also have an icebreaker of 3 inches or 76 millimeters, but your bulkheads are relatively thin with only 5 inches or 127 millimeter, or the upper bulkhead, which is at an angle, funnily enough, so be careful when angling, because then you unangle the angled part, of 152 millimeter or 6 inches. And deck armor is also really weak, because you're ranging somewhere from 38 millimeters to down to where was that plate, 19 millimeters. And you should have some sort of turtleback, but I couldn't see it, the precise number. Although effectively it's not that thick that it would make a difference, so don't rely on this. This is not a German Bismarck or Scharnhorst class turtleback. This is much thinner, much less effective. So angling is advised. The turret firing angles aren't too bad. There are also not too many secondaries or AA emplacements in the way. However, when you angle, you still will take a lot of damage from the upper casemate mounted secondaries, because there are shell catchers. You cannot angle something round, right? And there are so many of them, 8 per broadside. So the speed also 51.3 kilometers per hour versus, for example, Kongo's 55.5 kilometers per hour, so roughly 10% slower. If you get damaged, you get dragged also even lower. But the ship is also relatively light, with quote unquote only what was it? I forgot about it. Just shy of 30,000 tons. The Kongo, after the refit and everything, is roughly 30% heavier, with 38,000 and 767 tons. Forgot to speak English here for a moment. So I think that this is nice that we see it in a significantly different configuration, and that we have it at a lower battle rating. I think this is good for diversity, but then you're opening up a gap in the tech tree, because at 6.7, yeah, there is nothing else. The Setsu is at 6.3. You have a lot of the heavy cruisers at 6.0. The Kurama, the reward ship, is at 5.7. So this is where this is a standalone battle rating, you know, somewhere between 6.0 and 7.0, where only one ship can be at your help, and that is the predecessor, the IJN Setsu. So yeah, that's it. And now the interesting part starts, right? Because as you can see, I know that this guy is a bot and he's not the biggest danger, but this is where the Graf Spee poses a threat, and I have to deal with him while also maneuvering to get into the gap between the two islands. Now he's distracted, right? And his turrets are facing away, so I can take a lot of time in just aligning my ship, aligning my guns, waiting for the reload. He's not alerted, but I must make it count, because you also can see the launchers for the torpedoes, and they will kill me. And there we go, and yeah, we blow him up. And so we eliminated that threat, got ourselves a sweet kill. He didn't pay attention. That would never happen to me, that somebody sneaks up behind me, right? Yeah, spoiler alert. It happens. And you don't have to wait too far. But now you can see the big reward. There are bots. And I'm not talking here about your AI teammates, but actually the objective, you know, the cargo ships, the destroyers and the cruisers, and they are my main target. So we did a lot of damage to this light cruiser with one salvo, and you can see he takes on a lot of water. He had lost a lot of crew percentage, and I follow it up also with the secondaries. They also help. They also cause leakage, and they also cause fires and so forth. Oh my god, what is that? And also because I'm turning to the left, I avoid the second torpedo, but the first one, well, I don't have torpedo defense systems. And now, yeah, that VS-10 bailed out by itself, so I can be sure he will respawn again in yet another patrol boat. And there he is. And I'm still not even keeled. I'm taking on water. I'm a third flooded. And yeah, I need to avoid the torpedo going for the magazine. And can I please get my secondaries aligned? That the aiming system is so wonky at this short range. It's not just the depression of the guns that's failed me here. And you can see I kind of avoided the torpedo going into the magazine. I'm worried about the second torpedo, but also we accelerated fast enough, and now he's in basically I can't do anything about him. But look at the AI ships. I can shoot them, right? And I launch my torpedoes, and yeah, the Prinz Eugen has a torpedo defense system, but maybe, just maybe, I'll cause some additional damage. And here, come on, some secondaries. Ah, just one was just shy enough, but the reload is actually not too bad. And so this hits home. And that's his third respawn, so he only can go into an aircraft. But he was in an S-147. Man, that is rare. Kudos to you, Alpha Omega. I recognize. And so now I can go to town with my secondaries, with my torpedoes, with my main battery on those ships. I'm too close for comfort. Some torpedoes will hit home. Yes, we sink a cargo ship with one. And yeah, that's so ironic that a bot is blocking a bot from botting. I tried to maneuver with the ship, but it's difficult. My funnels get damaged all the time, and so my effective horsepowers get also reduced by that. Yeah, you heard that right. That's a mechanic in War Thunder. So I have to pepper him with the secondaries and the main artillery. I switch over to the cargo ship with the secondaries, and yeah, this is where, you know, some launches you could rotate would be really fancy. We destroy the cargo ship, and you can see the impact that I have on the battle with this breakthrough. Even if I would die now, this would grant us a big win, because I made sure nobody else can break through to our side of the bots, and the rest of my team also is now there, but their team is totally disorganized. Nobody recognizes it, and I'm not quite sure if the guy that I destroyed 3 times actually only 2 times is now writing to his team, but I also have to keep moving a little bit because I cannot risk him just dropping a normal bomb on me. My deck plating isn't there to protect me. I have no real AA to speak of. I don't trust a couple of 8 centimeters, and come on. Yeah, that was a good hit. Only 2% left. He should drown now. Switching my attention here to the T-22. Yes. There is the German light cruiser that we also can just torture with our secondaries. Those secondaries here make a real difference. Usually in battle they are not that important, but the high rate of fire, the huge amount of them, they give a really good DPM. I support this effort with some torpedoes, because I think this one doesn't have torpedo protection. Let me have a look into the German tech tree, and we can see that the Emden does in fact not have torpedo protection system, so he will take damage from this torpedo if it hits in time. And again we go to town, and again none of those enemy players or bots is effectively engaging me. I'm constantly under secondary fire, but no main gun action, and versus secondary fire I have enough armor. There I have enough armor, and this is where this battle cruiser just goes to town. Big caliber guns, lots of secondaries, speed that brought me to this position, some fancy World War I style torpedoes that are actually from 1910 according to the stat card, and yeah, that's funny. So another torpedo aligns with the light cruiser, and I missed to fire it. So that was a little bit of too much going on at the same moment. Should I try the torpedo on the T-22? I think I feel like it. Yes. On the rear part, that's not that damaged. We can observe the torpedo impact on the Emden. It did some damage, and we just do additional damage with the secondaries. We aim for the various different sections. We cause some flooding, but not enough. The flooding, those spots are so resilient, or the AI is so resilient. We sink the cargo ship behind him with some shells that skip through. That is wild. And we follow it up on the M. And what is the torpedo doing? Oh my god, the torpedo actually went right under the keel of the T-22. That is crazy. Because I thought I also caused some flooding to make the hull of the ship go lower. And yes, I have the torpedoes always set to 4 meters, which in this case didn't help me. And they are so difficult to sink. I could have used ZAP here, but overall I think it's more reliable. The Emden goes down, and then hopefully we finish off the T-22, and that's game, boys and girls. That's game. That is what a survivor and a matchmaker looks like. That was wild, the ending. I haven't had this kind of result in a very long time, and I want this map more often. It's one of the best maps that there is, and with some boosters we have 145,000 civil lines and nearly 18,000 RP, and I think that result was great. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to get you more of this footage. Let me know if this was exciting, if this was fun to watch, if you did learn anything, and yeah, what you think about the IJN Hiei. I think it is, in certain circumstances, a surprisingly well doing ship. And that's it for me today. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please give this video a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more. For it's just a couple of clicks. For me it means the world. And as usual, we will see each other on the battlefields, in the skies, and on the waves of War Thunder.